Today, we are going to discuss and focus on a very interesting and trending topic: one team, one goal, uniting business and IT teams. We are extremely excited today to welcome Maurizio Tessarotto to the show, a digital transformation leader with over 15 years of experience in bridging technology and business to drive growth, optimize operations, and elevate the customer journey through data, AI, and strategic innovation. Maurizio, welcome to the show today. Tell us a bit about your current role and your journey into operational leadership.
Hi, Bianca, and thanks for having me. So, a little bit of myself. So, I started as an entrepreneur. So, while at the university, I studied engineering. While at the university, I built up a marketplace to sell and buy cars with another peer of mine. I was the sort of jack of all trades. I had to code, I had to go out running marketing campaigns and finding customers. The company failed, but at the end, the learning was immense for the both of us. And then I moved into consultancy, especially IT consulting, and I did the usual career, so coder, business analyst, and then project manager, and then also sales and pre-sales. One of the clients asked me to join. At the time, I was in my 30s, and I've been put in charge of managing a big restructuring into a big insurance company. And I was leading at the time 7 project managers who in turn would manage 50 SMEs. Like SMEs, I mean technical people who would build web applications for the insurance company and also back-end applications. So it was a very good mixture of different technologies. And the goal at the time was to restructure the team from being like functional, from having functional capabilities in technology to serve more the business in terms of projects. And the restructuring was in my hands, and I was only 30 years old. And one of the questions that really struggled bring in the most fear on myself was, how can I really manage someone who has 20 plus years of experience more than me? Because in the team, there were a person who at the time had 50 years. And since at the time, the only thing that I did very, very well was to get a coach, and the coach would tell me, this is the wrong question that you're asking to yourself. A better question would be, what is the unique contribution that this person can bring to the project? You see, leadership is a question of discovery, and discovery in terms of what the people can bring to the table, rather than comparing yourself or rather comparing people among each other. And that's where really I got really interested in leadership in terms of not only leading projects, but leading people and making them together, bringing them together.
Absolutely, Maurizio. That sounds amazing. And I can imagine the amount of responsibility at that age. But it sounds like you have vast experience in different areas, which is really exciting to see the insights you are going to share today. Maurizio, I'm going to go straight into our first question for today. And I think this is a very interesting one that our audience would really love to hear those insights from you. From your perspective, why is alignment between business and IT teams more critical today than ever before?
Yeah, I would say for mainly 2 reasons. One is the speed of iteration that we now see today in the market. Markets now, or customers, shift fast, I would say, and companies then must shape faster. If IT moves without the business context, or the business set goals without the technical awareness, the speed that you need to have turns into misalignments most of the time. That would be the first reason. The second reason is that everybody's speaking about having a digital twin, and this is what is happening in most of the industries. And so this added to the previous statement. To build those kind of digital twins, you need to have perfect alignment with business and IT. And this would create a live evolving model of the business, the digital twin. And to do that, in my opinion, you need to not only create procedures or alignments, but you need to create a shared language. So it's sort of more a cultural thing rather than a technical thing.
On the back of what you just mentioned, Maurizio, what challenges have you observed when these two functions operate in isolation?
Well, this is a good question because I also have a story to on this. I would say the story goes that once in my company we had to implement a customer-facing operation. This operation was simply updating the payment method, so it was seemingly simple. We wanted the UI to allow the customer to real time updating his bank account or his payment method. Turns out that most of the customers would do that, would do this change on the day the payment is due. Because of that moment would remind them that they need to do it because the payment method is updated. So the feature gave the impression to the customer that the payment would go just as they inputted the payment method. Instead, in the back end, it would trigger a payment failure and a dunning notice. So the customer would get dunning notice the day after instead of a confirmation that the payment would go well. So suddenly, this kind of new feature would become a sort of trust violation. So, and it wasn't bad technology; it was a missing dialogue. Um, when we have done the root cause analysis that we always do, the technical team said there were basically no requirements specifically for when to update that payment method, and we opted for batch processing, meaning the day after. So all the changes of today would be processed tomorrow because it was the simplest thing today and the most efficient for the IT team.
Yeah.
And when asked the question, okay, why didn't you tell us about this? And well, they told us, well, you didn't ask for this. And at the question, why didn't you spot this, for example, in test environment?
Yeah.
Well, in the test environment, there is no real payment. So if there was, we would send the real payment to banks, also from test cases, for example. So we found out basically that the first requirement that was the UI had to allow real-time updates would have been better if it would be written like the system had to allow real-time updates. But then the team would say, no, maybe it's better to write the customer must be allowed to real-time updates. So this different, just a different word created basically a problem. Uh, but it wasn't really only about wording. It was about asking the correct question. So the next time that we would implement something like this, that was the outcome of our problem analysis, would be let's ask ourselves what changes must we do to let customer changing their payment method without screwing up the already in place customer operations. That would be a better question instead of um, just writing the requirements.
That is amazing, Maurizio, this example that you just mentioned. So I want to actually ask you the next question, intertwined with what you just mentioned. What strategies and practices have helped you to foster collaboration between business and IT? So on the back of what you just mentioned, the challenge that was faced, what type of strategies and practices did you put in place after that to avoid, those type of challenges to arise again in the future?
So I would say one thing that I always do and is difficult is make people free to ask questions, even though it is not in their field of competence. We have many people in the team that are like the customer's advocate, even though they are in the IT team. If you want to do it, then fine. instead of saying or like thinking that people that are working on IT should not ask business questions or the other way around, let's leverage on that. IT usually will help in spotting future problems if we let them do, and the business would also spot technical problems if we let them do. So you have resistance on people on this because not all the people like being questioned, especially if the other person is not in their field. But that's what I find difficult. But at the same time, if done properly over time, is going to yield a lot of benefits in terms of team effort, being one team, and delivering more results and better results.
So you just talked a bit about the strategies and practices that you put in place. On the back of that, technical teams and business teams can be vastly different. How do you build a shared language or understanding between technical and non-technical teams? And what role does leadership play in setting the tone for that collaboration amongst the two teams?
I always say to the team, when you need to describe something, make an example, draw the process,
Okay.
involve that department, even if you think that it will not be needed for this new process or for analyzing what went wrong, for example. I always say that if business and IT, for example, are calling the same thing in two different ways, is fine. Is fine as long as the outcome they produce is the same. For example, in our environment, a customer who cannot log in and is having a problem is called MFA, multi-factor authentication problem by the IT guys. We
Yes.
both know that a customer who cannot log in is also called MFA problem in IT, and is fine because we know that this is the only problem. If another problem with the same outcome, for example, the customer who cannot log in, is then arising, then we need to change our wording on both sides. But the important thing is that both know the meaning of the thing. And the other thing is what role leadership play in all of this. I would say I just recently went through Six Sigma training, and one of the best things that they say is that the customer is a human. The IT guys are humans too. Our businesses are run by humans, and KPIs are there just to measure performances, and performances are probably better measured in terms of processes, in terms of outcomes. You cannot really apply KPIs to people, but in some way you have to do it because the processes and the businesses are run by humans. So you have to find the middle way in which, yes, you measure things, but you don't measure people. It's not that easy, but that's what I would say leadership can do.
That's really amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Maurizio. I want to understand earlier you mentioned an example, when there's a gap between business and IT. You gave us that example. Can you share a bit how process management has served as a bridge between business and IT?
I would say that those things are costing effort, and everybody knows. So everybody is basically saying yes, it is a good thing to do to have more alignments, to have more discussions, as it pay dividends. But the reality is that nobody wants to do it. Especially when things are not working well or people are not getting along with each other. So the only bridge that you can do is to do this more often. It is as simple as this. You have to do it more often. You have to be the one that is waking up every day thinking, oh my God, today there is an alignment to be done. And if I don't push for this, nobody else will do.
Makes sense. Maurizio, I think we have a bit of time left. I am going to prompt one or two more questions. So just wanted to let you know of that so that we don't run over the 20-minute mark. So I'm just going to have a look here at the questions. I'm going to ask a question 9 and a question 11 to you and then go straight into asking you for your final thoughts, etc. So, what tangible results or improvements have you seen from closer business IT alignment? If you can share with us in your experience between the two teams, what have you seen as the best result or improvement from your perspective?
I would say speed. So when you have an environment where everybody is trusting each other, the speed of trust is making the yields basically. I recently read a book that is called The Speed of Trust by Stephen Covey, that is the son of the famous Stephen Covey that wrote the Seven Habits. And he was quoting Hemingway, and he would say, the only way to see if you can trust a person is to actually trust him. And so this could be probably the base for everything in the business. If you let people do things, and if you delegate properly, and if you trust them, then this is becoming sort of sticky. So all the people will do it.
What is your biggest piece of advice for organizations struggling to unite business and IT? So I can just imagine a lot of people listening to this might be going through this struggle at the moment. And I think this advice would really guide them in the right direction if you can give us your input on that.
Yeah, sure. I think it's related to what I said before. That means trust. I would tell to use the principle of open books management that is a trend now in finance, especially, meaning making sure that everybody has access to the same data, to the same processes, to the same knowledge. And if you do so, the decisions stop being territorial, they start being, I would say, transformational.
Thank you so much, Maurizio, for your insights shared on this very crucial topic. I do think there's a lot of people in the audience today that might still be facing the struggles of uniting business and IT. Thank you so much for all the insights shared. Is there any final message you would like to share with the viewers before we conclude today?
Yes, sure. If I can send one message, is if you want to build those things, you have to build culture. That's what I see. I do see that if you want to build trust, if you want to improve processes better in the team, yes, there are processes. Yes, there are KPIs you can measure. But the only thing I would say is to be consistent and creating a culture that is doing exactly what you want to do.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Maurizio. To our viewers, thank you for joining us today. We'd like to remind you to stay connected with BPM Real Talk. We have many more exciting topics coming up, each with its own unique perspective and inspiring stories to share. Be sure to subscribe, like, and follow us to stay updated on our latest episodes and to join our growing community of BPM enthusiasts. Thank you so much, Maurizio. Thank you for your time today, all your insights shared. We do appreciate it.
Thanks. Thanks, Bianca. Thanks for having me.